It's the beginning of another month, and you know what that means, right? Do you know what that means? It means it's time for another new product roundup and giveaway. In these videos, we go through a whole bunch of new products that have come out in the last month just to give you just an idea of things you need to be on the lookout for and give you our quick off-the-cuff thoughts about them. And we do a giveaway. Last month, we gave away 4 TBS Tracer starter kits. The month before that, 4 Immersion RC Ghost starter kits. I don't know what we're going to give away this month, but stick around to the end of the video to find out and to find out how to enter. And I keep saying we because I actually have a co-host for this, and my co-host is, some people call him FPV Jesus. Other people say that that's heretical and sacrilegious. I don't judge. I just welcome. It's Plenty. How you doing, man?
Great, Joshua. How's it going?
Just doing good, man. I'm glad to be back here with you. And I do want to just kind of dive in because we have a ton of products to go through. I want to let you know that if you want to use the table of contents, there is a list of timestamps and products in the video description. In addition, YouTube has this new feature they've rolled out where in the timeline, you can see little chapter breaks and you can see what product we're talking about at each of those times. So if you want to sit there and just like listen to us talk for usually over an hour, more power to you. If you want to skip to a specific product you're interested, you can, or if you just want to skip to the giveaway. So, yeah, what are we going to talk about first?
I think we should look at the Jumper T-Lite. That seems like a solid product to check out.
Yeah, I'm looking at this now. This is, obviously, it's a gamepad style radio from Jumper. $60. It's a good price.
Yeah, the price is excellent. And I think you start comparing this to, they've got a single RF version and a multi RF version, so you can just do the FrSky stuff with the CC2500, or for $10 more, you get the multi protocol.
But it has the Hall sensors, Hall sensor gimbals,
USB charging, USB-C charging.
Lots of switches. I see a lot of trim switches. It's one of the things that, like, if you look at the Tango 2, I think it's a great radio, but one of the things people do complain about is lack of trim switches and just not as many switches as they would like. So
I think part of the concern there is just that, like, if you're a plane pilot or something and you're trying to trim, you definitely need more switches than what you've got here. So I'm not sure who the trim's for, I guess, in this case.
Plane pilots, surely.
Yeah, I just don't know what I think a lot of them are going to want as many switches as they can get. At least that's what I've heard from.
I mean, you can use the trim switches just as a momentary switch if you want to. It's possible to set them up. You turn trims off in OpenTX. You're like, I'm not using trims. And then you can just use the trim switches as a momentary, if a momentary is what you need. So, yeah. Gotcha. I mean, presumably a Radiomaster version of this is already in the works, right? Because Jumper and Radiomaster seem pretty lockstep.
Yeah, I would have to assume we're going to see one coming. Yeah. That's for sure. I mean, if maybe that transitions to our next product, the TX12. Radiomaster is putting out the TX12, which is certainly a direct competitor to the T12.
All right, here I've got the Radiomaster TX12 pulled up on FPV Crate and Banggood. And by the way, I want to say there are links to more stores down in the video description. Those are affiliate links. That's one of the ways we support all the work we put into this. But I'm not gonna clutter up my screen with like 5 different stores just to be like try to give equal footing to everybody. So in this case, we got FPV Crate and Banggood. FPV Crate is actually one of the they seem like the premier Radiomaster distributor in the US. They have like everything from Radiomaster.
Yeah, for sure. They seem so if we talk about this radio,
yeah,
the TX12, I think. It's interesting to see Radiomaster trying to encroach on the Jumper territory, but I think it's strange for them to put out this radio at $70 and to only have the single module. And so this only does like the one part of the 4-in-1, so FrSky and Futaba.
It can't do Spectrum or FlySky or Gropner because those use a different chip.
Yeah, I think some Gropner, but yeah, for sure. It has a lot of other great things. There's a large battery compartment. It has built-in charging. We have a metal roller, removable antenna and stuff, folding handle. But unfortunately, I think that I wonder how much of a turnoff that single chip support is going to be for people.
I do see it does support Graupner. I misspoke there. Supports FrSky, Radiolink, Graupner, Hi-Tech, Futaba, Corona, but not Spectrum or FlySky, which are some of the ones that people might, especially Spectrum, people might want. Yeah, why not put the 4-in-1 in there? It's not. I mean, presumably there's a reason.
Well, and as I think if we look at the T-Lite, that was $10 difference to change from the single to the 4-in-1. So I mean, I think plenty of people would look at a SKU of this radio for $10 more that has the whole package.
The next product let's look at is the Fat Shark Attitude V6, and I gotta say, people are asking, when will Fat Shark let you review this? I am not under any embargo on these. I'm just busy and slow. So let's see. What are the specs of the Attitude V6, Blunty?
We've got 1280 by 960. LCOS comes with you can do 4x3 or 16 by 9, 39-degree field of view, 54 to 74 adjustable IPD, adjustable focus with diopters. Is that actually scrolling focus, or is that like plug-in diopters?
No. It's actually built-in diopters, just like the HDO and the Orca, HDO2 and the Orca.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Some people will object to the fact that you can't use a lens, an insert, if you have a particular prescription that won't work. But that's the way everybody seems to be going. I think Fat Shark is something on their hands with this goggle at a price of $350. There isn't anything else at that price point that has this resolution. That's for sure. This is the same resolution as the HDO2 and the Orca. So it's high resolution. They clearly designed this with the Fat Shark Bitefrost in mind because they wanted that resolution. Field of view is adequate. Not the best in class, but adequate. And Fat Shark's reputation for quality and support. What do you think about the LCOS display, though?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting choice. I assume it's for price or panel sourcing that they made that decision. I don't think this would have been $350 if that's the case because of the screen size and such. If you compare this to like the SkyZone 030 is like 1024 by 768, but it has OLED and it's $50 more. So I think it's definitely a apples to oranges. Like I think the LCOS makes sense because I think I like the bigger screen. I think a lot of goggles are going that direction. The DJI's got the bigger screen with the standard display. I think it's pretty cool. Though I can't say that I haven't seen in these goggles. What do you think about it?
I mean, I think they look okay. I think that the actual LCOS screen is fine, but there's a little bit of, it almost looks like there is a light inside the goggle. So it's not light leak from the outside, and it's not, I don't know. It's like there's a light inside the goggle where you can just barely see like the outside of the screen. Overall, I think at a price of $350, though, I would probably take it.
It's like something about like the way the brightness comes around the panel or something.
I'll try to capture it with a GoPro when I do the full review. But a thing to keep in mind if you are going to use these with the HDMI input, like for SharkBite, is that the HDMI input is 16.9 only. It is not switchable to 4.3, I like to fly in 4.3, and that might be a deal breaker for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, I definitely like 16:9. I prefer to have that wide view, so I think it'll be up to the person. But definitely good to know that. Yeah. It's interesting that it supports in an AV mode, but not an HDMI mode. I wonder if that's something they could add over a patch.
I mean, I would hope that if they could, they would. But yeah, if you fly analog, then you can have your pick. Anyway, that's the Attitude V6. If it was $50 more, I would say there's no point in this goggle. But at a price of $350, and then presumably over time it'll come down. There's nothing else at this price point with this size and resolution of screen, and so it's going to be attractive to a lot of people.
All right, so let's move on down the line here to small little quads that bind and fly. Maybe we can see some different things here. Last month, we talked about the Newbie Drone Savage Bee, and now Newbie Drones released that Savage Bee as a bind and fly kit, so you don't have to build it anymore.
Yeah, if you like building tiny quads, what's wrong with you? I was watching Ciati's live stream last night, and he always does micro builds, and the whole time he's doing the micro build, he's cussing. He's in there with the tweezers, like doing laparoscopic surgery, and cussing and saying, "Why does anybody do this?" And I agree. Just buy a bind for tiny quads. Just buy bind and flies, and now you can do that with the Savage Bee.
Yeah, I often get asked that about whoops, like 65 or 75 millimeter. Like, what parts do I buy to build one? I'm like, just buy a bind and fly.
Yeah, they're so integrated. And I actually have, I I said this in last month's roundup, and it's still true. I have the Savage Bee. I am queued up to review it. Very soon I'll actually catch up with my schedule and review it. But I actually have a care package from Bob Ruge, because he has a version of a similar quad that he builds. So I'm going to try them out, and I'm looking forward to getting to try that. We also have, I've got this up on screen, the Acroby 75 with the B-Brain BL, which is also now available as a bind and fly. This is Newbie Drone's B-Brain brushless flight controller.
Yeah, integrated Crossfire, not even an option.
It what now? Integrated? Like, it's with the Crossfire Nano.
Crossfire Nano, but yeah, it just comes with it now. There's not even a choice. So.
Well, that's good.
I like that. I like that decision. I think you're going to leave some people out with that, but at the same time, like if you're on a 75, you're trying to get out a little bit and do some more, long range stuff. And even though you're not going a crazy distance, I think you could easily outrun FreeSky D8.
Oh yeah, especially because the SPI based receivers are so bad. But yeah, I've outrun FreeSky, especially because the antennas are Crossfire has more range than you need, but you don't have to think about it. So I agree with that decision. I mean, they don't even offer it with a FreeSky receiver.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not that I see.
Okay. All right. Well, bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off. From there, let's go to the Emax Nanohawk. So this is another bind and fly from Emax. I got to tell you, Blunty, I sometimes have trouble keeping them all straight. They got the Tiny Hawk 2, the Tiny Hawk Race. The Freestyle I have no problem with, because that's like a 2-inch, I think. What's the deal with the Emax bind and fly Nanohawk?
So to me, the most interesting thing here is this is kind of their Mobula 6 competitor. They're like small 65 millimeter brushless whoop competitor. It's 20 grams dry. It's got the Runcam Nano 3. It's got the new GMB 2.7 connector. So you're going to need those different batteries.
Whoa, it's got a custom battery connector. Oh, are you kidding me? What is this?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is the new GMB 27. It's starting to gain popularity.
Great. Another battery connector.
Yeah, a couple different bind and flies now. But I think the most interesting thing to me on this is that they're actually using a scalloped, like standard sized whoop flight controller. Up until this point, they've been using the longer AIO style flight controllers. And this is still an AIO, but in a much smaller form factor. And it fits in other builds. And this means if you break this flight controller, you can replace it with a different one. You're not trying to like fight around the frame.
So is it the 25 millimeter toothpick size like we're seeing? Or is it a 36 millimeter? Or 30
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, the 25 millimeter, 25.5, the standard whoop mount, toothpick mount board.
There are some really good ones in that form factor, so it's nice to have a choice, I guess. I'm not saying it happens often, but there are people who damage their Tiny Hawk flight controller for some reason and are disappointed to have no options other than to just replace the whole thing with that exact one from Emax.
I will say I have a broken Tiny Hawk 2 in a drawer that I have not replaced the flight controller on because I haven't ordered a new one from Emax, and I have a stack of flight controllers that I could put on there that don't fit. So it's unfortunate,
This thing is.
I think it's good to see them move in that direction.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't read too much into it. I mean, this one, we'll see. We'll see when they release the next one.
That's true.
For all the proprietary stuff Emax has done, like their 450 milliamp hour batteries, nobody else uses that size, but they're really good batteries. So, I mean, if you're going to be proprietary, at least put out good stuff. 20 grams dry without the battery. So in the weight of a whoop, it's the right weight. 20 grams dry. Is that?
Yeah, 20 grams dry.
Normally closer to 20 with the battery. Is that, am I right about that? 20,
no, that's about right. 2020, yeah, we're in the right pocket there, I believe.
So we're at 20 plus the 450 battery, which is going to be about 10 grams ish. So
this is 300. So they're talking about standard whoop size batteries here.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought I saw the 450. My mistake.
Yeah, I need 300 milliamp hour a wide 1S battery cell.
Okay, so it's flatter. It's a different shape, but it's only a 300. All right.
All right, so let's move on to something a little bit bigger. We'll move on to the iFlight ProTech. There's a 25 and a 35, it looks like, a 2.5 and a 3.5 inch version of these for HD. And they're like iFlight's new Cinewhoop. However, they're not like a traditional ducted design. It's more like octagonal, I guess you would call it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of okay with that. The ducts on most Cinewhoops, for a duct to actually be effective at increasing your efficiency, the prop tip has to be like 0.8 millimeters from the duct for the size props we use. And nobody's doing that except the original Shendrone Squirt, where he cut down 4-inch props and let them literally dig into the TPU so they would be flush with the duct. So since nobody's actually getting an advantage from the ducts anyway, I'm fine with just sort of abandoning the charade and just saying, look, they're prop guards.
Sure. So essentially they're 2.5-inch quad with prop guards that can carry a GoPro. Yeah. But yeah, they seem like pretty cool little quads. I like to see more movement in this direction. So anything like this, and I believe these will come in. I'm not sure what the all-up weight's going to be here, but we're at 194 without a battery. So
yeah, so not for the 25. So not under 250 grams, especially not with the GoPro.
Henry, hey! Oh my gosh! Hey, come on.
What's Henry talking about? Henry's got something to talk about. There's something out there. I need to get it.
It's okay. I know. Lay down. Be good.
And now I'm looking at these. It looks like they have both an analog version with the Caddx Turbo EOS 2 or EOS 2 and a digital version with Caddx Vista. So that's pretty cool. And it's really interesting that they're going, 2.5-inch props is the typical prop size for a Cinewhoop, but now you have the option to go up to 3.5, which gives you a lot more endurance, efficiency, and weight carrying capacity for a full-size GoPro. I think that's a really smart move, and that's going to really resonate with a lot of people. And I can't think of another company that's released a 3.5-inch Cinewhoop.
Yeah, really the major benefit you're getting from smaller is just, I guess, quieter, right? I mean, at that size, it's not much easier to carry, and they're already so loud anyway. I just wonder, 3.5 is going to be more stable, easier to fly around. Yeah. So
that's what I was going to say. Cinewhoops are not known for being quiet because of their freaking ducts and the bullnose props that they use. So I think there's definitely a place for this guy.
All right, since we're going with small Cinewhoops, let's go even smaller. Down to the Full Speed RC Tiny Pusher, the brushless FPV Cinewhoop. Looks like this is also meant to carry a Insta360 Go. Just on a much smaller form factor.
With the Pusher, this is who did this first? Was it Umagod? Umagod has his UMA 95, which is a Pusher configuration. Pusher, by the way, means the motors are upside down, so the props are underneath the motors. It's supposed to give you more efficiency and flight time. Who did this first? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I kind of just saw these start popping up. I'm not really sure who landed these first. But this looks like a cool little product. It's about 40 grams without a battery. 1103, 8,000 kV, so at least we're not on Whoop motors here. We're a little bigger than Whoop motors.
Yeah.
Looks like 1.6-inch props.
Ciotti actually built one of these on his live stream last night. I think he was building this one. And he thought it was a little chunky. He says, okay, but it's a little heavy. I don't think he really flight tested it, though, just hover tested it.
Yeah, it seems like it's chunky because they're trying to carry something on it. It seems like that's the goal. I don't think you're going to race with this. But I'd be interested to see how it acros, how it flies around, if the 1.5s give it enough authority to be able to get around. Because they show also a GoPro Lite on it on the Full Speed website. And
wow.
That seems interesting. That's a lot of weight, I feel like, for that size of quad.
Now Ciotti built his. This is the bind and fly version, and it's $95. That Full Speed has always delivered good prices, that's for sure. Okay, Full Speed.
All right, so let's move on to a bind and fly kit from Gep RC. It looks like this is kind of competing with the Beta FPV kits, that style of kit. It looks like kind of similar goggles, almost the same goggles here on this kit, but it's $200, and Gep RC now has a ready-to-fly kit, and I think we're going to check out a little commercial here.
Oh, that's nice. I don't recognize that controller. That's new.
Yeah, it does seem like a new controller.
Okay. I see a little jello. Video feed looks okay, or the captured video looks okay. There is a little jello.
So the video is actually from Insta360 Go.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's not bad. It'll all depend on how well it flies at the end of the day.
And there's also a 4K version of it for 280 that has a 4K camera.
Oh, that's what I thought we were seeing, was the onboard recording from a 4K camera.
Yeah, at the end of that video, I think they do a little section where they do the 4K camera.
Do we know what camera it is? Is it an existing one, or did GetRC make their own?
They do not list it.
Here's the 4K
video.
Caddx.
It's a Caddx Loris.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yep.
Oh my God, too much volume. I'm gonna turn the volume down here. Yeah, Caddx Loris is okay. All right, well, you got to test it out. GetRC has a pretty good track record right now for sort of build quality and quality control. I feel like they're sort of above the average, if you will. Blunty, seeing the box goggles in that GetRC product made me think of this new product, the SkyZone Cobra. It's like box goggles. People still use box goggles. Come on. $169 puts these in a fairly premium position as box goggles go, but they have decent specs.
It's actually pretty interesting. They're actually offering two versions of this goggle. There's a Cobra S and a Cobra X. So we've got a Cobra S at 170 that's 800 by 480, and then we've got a Cobra X at that's 1280 by 720.
Oh,
kind
wow.
of interesting. And they also say that this is the Rapid Mix receiver. It's possible this is the same receiver we're seeing in the new SkyZone 04X.
Well, that would be amazing. So here's I was on a roller coaster there because $170. I was hoping they would be 1280 by 720 for $170. That would be killer. 800 by 480 for $170. If you look at the FXT Viper, I think that's the same. So it's like, okay, you got a good box goggle with low resolution for 170. I guess we'd also have to compare to the Fat Shark Scout. I think is in that
Scout.
Yeah,
the Scout has that good DVR in it, I believe, too.
Yeah, but then you said, oh, no, actually it's $224 for the 1280 by 720. And I was like, oh, that's a lot for box goggles. But then you said it was the Rapid Mix receiver. And I was like, oh, this could be the best receiver in a box goggle anywhere in the world. At which point I was like, okay, maybe.
Yeah, this kind of changes the game, I think, because every box goggle out there that you purchase is a standard, like a true diversity or like a standard diversity, like an antenna diversity. Mm-hmm. And this being actually like Rapid Mix receiver, like a mixing receiver in a goggle that's a couple $100. I mean, it seems like if that's the case, this is going to be really good for a beginner. I mean, I think this could be really solid for a beginner.
You know what, Blunty? It feels like we've been talking about bind and flying quads for a while. Let's get down in the weeds a little bit and talk about electronics. And I want to start with some flight controllers and ESC combos that have come out in the last month. And the very first one has to be the Nubidrone Cricket 200 stack. This is a 20 millimeter DJI capable. Cricket says it's no solder install if you're using DJI controller stack. Made by Nubidrone. I'm pulling up the images here. What do you think about this?
If Cricket's flying it, it's super solid. I think that's something I think we have to know because he beats the crap out of stuff.
He really does. He really does. I have to say I'm on the record as being skeptical of the durability of 20 millimeter ESCs, but Nubidrone. I have said before, Dominic Clifton expressed being impressed at Nubidrone's engineering of their flight controllers, which is a high compliment. And Cricket just beats the crap out of his stuff. So maybe I was like, Cricket, tell me the truth. How many of these ESCs have you blown up? He's like, they're good. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to have to.
Yeah, I think if you look at the design, I think they've just taken the issue away by gluing the heat spreader, like a hardcore heat spreader right on top of the ESCs.
Yeah.
So there's just no chance for the heat to build up too much to blow them. It's just dumping into that plate.
Just look how small those FETs are. Look how tiny those. How can you be driving 50 amps through these FETs? I don't know. Anyway, other thing I noticed is these solder pads on the side. Man, you better be, if you are going to solder it up, should not be your first solder job. But that's true for most 20 millimeters. So I guess we'll give it a pass.
Yeah, you got to find somewhere to put them. And I'd rather them spend the board space on good components than trying to squeeze pads on there.
Yeah, $109 for the flight controller and ESC. It's not the cheapest out there, but maybe it's pretty good. And it's got a USB-C, so save the koalas. It's a deep joke. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 UARTs, 6 UARTs. Oh, 6 UARTs. Nice. I mean, 9-volt regulator for the air unit. I mean, respect.
All right, so T-Motor's also got the T-Motor Pacer F7, another USB-C flight controller. This is going to be another F7. It's got the 3-amp 5-volt BEC, so a little better than a typical 5-volt BEC. Got the direct plugs for DJI.
Plugs for DJI, as so many people do. Yeah, the Pacer there's the Pacer and the Velox, and I think Pacer is T-Motor's budget line. So they've got a really high-end, $55 F7 flight controller. And now this one is $45 and has all the same features. And I don't know what the difference is, but I really like the pad layout on this one. I like that they've got the pads all on the edges. Really easy to solder to. Got through holes. A lot of people are going to appreciate that.
Yeah, this seems like a really accessible flight controller. And it's F7. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. It does support OSD for analog, so it does have analog circuitry. If you want to use the same flight controller, some digital builds, some analog builds, it can support the analog. That's nice.
Looks like it has camera control, 16 megabyte black box flash.
Yeah. Respect. All right. Well, presumably there's something you're giving up compared to this and the full T-Motor F7. But I couldn't tell you what it is. So there you go. Nice job, T-Motor.
All right. Looks like Flywoo also has an F7 out. This is the F745 on a 20 by 20. But boy, it's got quite a bit of reach on this one.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite fit in a normal 20 by 20 slot.
You complained earlier about the weird shape of the Tiny Hawk flight controller. And I mean, Fly was doing something similar. Let me see if I can get a bigger picture here. Technically, this is 20 by 20 mounting, but you're definitely going to have to think carefully about the frame you put it on, because some of them will have standoffs in the way and won't be able to actually mount this. It's got built-in ESCs. It's a true all-in-one, right?
Yeah, it looks like they included the kitchen sink on this thing.
Yep, got a plug for DJI, as you would hope. We got another product here from iFlight. This is the iFlight Sux XE F7 stack. At first glance, you might go, well, what's new about this? It's an iFlight F7 processor with a stackable ESC. It is kind of cool that they've got the solder pads for the motors out here, so you don't have to get in there on the ESC. You don't have to lift up the flight controller to solder to it. But what really makes this one stand out is, let me find a good picture. There we go. The Sux XE line is pluggable. So it's got plugs for everything that you would want. And I can't decide if it comes with actual plug headers. But the idea here is that you could theoretically do a no solder install by getting plugs made, or maybe iFlight's selling them. Just plug in your receiver, plug in your video transmitter, and etc.
Yeah, I would guess so. I have seen a couple of these different boards that with a bunch of the different plug spots, and they've come with just different plug adapters. So worst case, you're at least plugging one side and cutting the other side to solder to a receiver. Yeah. It just depends on what you've got.
I got to tell you, I don't mind soldering, and in general, I mean, I don't hate plugs. I'm fine with ESC 4-in-1 plugs. But for receivers, if you give me a plug header that plugs into an RXSR, okay, that's no additional work for me. But for Crossfire or most other receivers, for most video transmitters, I'm going to be soldering it up anyway, at which point you're not really saving me much by saving me from soldering one side, especially because then I have this plug, and maybe if I need to do a repair, the plug isn't there. But then it's got solder pads, so you could always solder to it if you needed to. Anyway.
Yeah, the major complaint I have is when companies do this, but they don't also give you the solder pads. I think that's a problem. But as long as they break out the solder pads for you that are in the plug, I'm okay with it.
Rush FPV, for example, on their 20 millimeter flight controllers, they have plugs for everything, but they don't give you the solder pads. Okay, it's a 20 millimeter, so they didn't have anywhere to put it, but that bugs me.
All right, now let's move on over to the Hi-Fi on RC, another F7, the F7 Mini 20x20 stack. This also has the DJI plug on an F7 22 this time, with the 45 amp ESCs.
Yeah. What stands out to me, this reminds me a lot of the Cricut in terms of its size and compactness, but this is freaking $60 for an F7 with a 45 amp ESC, 6S rated. I sound like a broken record, but I'm so skeptical that this will hold up.
I think that's fair. You know, this is it looks like we're getting an 8 megabyte black box on this. It's pretty light. There's onboard, obviously, voltage sensing. There's 6 UARTs. This definitely seems like a pretty solid stack, except we just don't know how it's going to hold up. So.
Yeah. All right. I'll stop saying that every time we see a 20 millimeter ESC. At $60, it's a heck of a good price if it holds up. So it seems like if you're looking for a budget 20 millimeter stack, the capabilities of this one are pretty impressive. But you're taking a little bit of a punt on the quality. At a price of $60, you can assume some corners were cut. Anyway, cool. You know, Blunty, you know who doesn't cut corners?
Who's that?
Diatone.
I 100% agree with you.
I say that because we're looking at the Diatone F722 app. And again, I couldn't find this many other places, so we're just going to look at the Race Day Quads product page. I'm sure it's other places, but Diatone has some of the least expensive flight control in ESC. They have like a $40 Diatone flight controller and ESC. That's $40 for both of them. And I'm like, how do you make it that cheap without it just crumbling to dust every time you touch it? And yet it seems to be okay. So in this case, the Diatone F722 app, the flight controller, I think, is similar to other flight controllers they've released. It's got Bluetooth built in, so you can use the SpeedyBee app without any additional hardware. But what makes this stand out to me is the new ESC. They've got the new 50 and 60 amp Pro ESC.
Yeah, for $80 for the 50, and it looks like $100 for the 60. Looks like a super solid deal. A Diatone, has been super reliable on in my testing and my use. I used quite a few of their stacks, and I think Drone Mesh looked at a couple of their ESCs a while back. They were super solid. I've had no issues with them at all. So.
Yeah. Blunty, I think we have one more. This is a company who just showed up in the Get FPV New Products Roundup, the SkyStars. And they seem to have like a full line of ESCs and flight controllers. And you pointed this out to me. There's a SkyStars limited edition 5-inch November drone box. What is that?
It looks like they're selling, it's basically a kit, a build kit with a bunch of different parts in it. Basically build a quad for
$129.
$130. Super limited stock, but it looks like they are still in stock.
Wow. That is Tyro pricing. Tyro 119, Tyro 79. They're down around $100. That's impressive.
Yeah, I think I'd love to see, more about this company, who they are, what they're actually going to provide for customers, what their feedback is like, what their response time is like. That's those sorts of things. It's hard to know with the new company. But for the price, especially for this kit, I think it's kind of hard to go wrong for the price.
I like this frame. This frame it's small, but it looks reasonably sort of well engineered. Nothing jumps out about it. It's got interchangeable arms with a center screw to hold them in place. One weakness of that design can be that the arms pop out. I can't see the underside to see how they join in, but that's interesting. $129 and it's in stock, maybe worth a shot. Blunty, there are some products that I feel like it's really important that we dig in and kind of, talk about. But other products, I feel like maybe it'd be better to just go, hey, look, this exists and it's out there, and just move on. So I think I want to introduce a new segment to the Roundup, which is the quick fire, just like 10 seconds per product, first thought, and move on. What do you say?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. The first product we're going to do is the AU line lithium ion packs. There's also here a ZOHD lithium ion pack and a Flywoo lithium ion pack. What's the freaking point of lithium ion packs?
For pretty much for range. I think a lot of people are flying them for range so that you get better performance because you can put a big pack on there and just fly quite a long ways with the efficient quad. And it's cool to see a lot of these options coming out from different manufacturers now. ZOHD has a 6S pack now, which is awesome.
Yeah. So these lithium ions have a lot more milliamp hours, but they're heavy and they don't have any C rating. So you will not be like freestyle ripping them. But if you have a long distance cruiser, you can get longer flights with these. And it's pretty cool to see people. These AU lines are pretty reasonably priced. $20 for this. Yeah. So they're out there. There's more. There are more that are not on this list. GepRC makes one, for example. Sorry, GepRC, but they are coming out. All right, plenty. Next on the list, the iFlight Crystal HD patch and stubby antenna. This is a patch antenna replacement front plate for your iFlight. And let me just check, see if GetFPV is carrying it. They're not, because they're super salty about the similarities between the Axie HD and the iFlight Crystal. What do you think? Axie HD or iFlight Crystal? First thought, go.
I mean, honestly, iFlight Crystal because it looks cooler. I think they spend a little extra time and they have all kinds of different options for like logos and neat things you put on them and stuff. But Axie's a good antenna. I mean, I think a lot of people know that Axie's a quality antenna, so it's kind of hard to pick one, I would say.
Yeah, the Axie stick on the front. The iFlight Crystal replaces the front plate and the antenna is underneath. So anyway, there you go. Very similarly priced. As far as performance goes, we don't know. But this is the rapid fire rundown. I don't know. We'll have to come up with a name for this segment. All right. Next on the list, the TrueRC Blaze and Singularity antennas. TrueRC is the manufacturer or the designer of the Luminaire Axie, the Luminaire range, the Axie antennas. They also have their own antennas. I don't know how that works, but they got some new ones, including these. What do you think of these, Blunty?
They're pretty cool, man. I think this also solves an interesting problem where with the DJI antennas, you don't necessarily know if they're like broken inside or like what's going on in there.
Yeah.
So maybe this will give you a little more insight into that.
Yeah, that is a thing. People have reported their DJI antennas break internally and they don't know and they just have bad range and they're like, what's wrong here? So, and then here's this TrueRC Blaze, $25. Oh, it's got an LED. It's got an LED in it. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. How is it powered? I have no idea. What the F?
How is it powered?
Are they like leeching power from the VTX? No, it has a separate power wire.
It's a power wire.
Okay. That's pretty freaking cool. That's pretty freaking cool. Well done, TrueRC. Brother Hobby LPD motors. A new line of motors. They look cool. 2306.5, 2806.5. And that is it. Any thoughts?
Yeah, they look like a new set of motors. I'm not really sure how these are standing out or what the goal of these are. Is there something special about an LPD?
The goal is to sell motors to people.
Well, sorry, sure.
I thought that was
fair
enough. Japanese NMB bearings. Japanese bearings are good. 2306.5, presumably for 7-inch. Is it a one-piece bell? That would be pretty impressive. I like the colors. It looks like it might be a one-piece bell. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
The AMAX Performante. What is going on with this motor bell?
That's the AMAX style, I think, that kind of like ribbed for the drone user's pleasure.
Does AMAX make all their motors that shape and I just missed it?
Yeah, that's the typical AMAX rib, I guess.
Okay. Well, good for them. The Performante comes in 2207, 2306, and 1303. Okay, cool. From micros. Anything about the Performante stand out?
Not too much. It does look like that's a new 1303 5000 kV option though for the TP3. So that's cool.
Nice.
In case Bob sold out of the FPV cycle motors, another option to look at.
Okay.
All right, let's actually move on to the Brother Hobby Avenger, the 2004. And I think maybe with this one, we should stop here for just a second and take a look at what they're talking about, because this is an interesting concept for me. They're advertising this motor as a long-range, efficient motor for 2S 7-inch tri-blade props.
What? 2S
Yeah,
7 inch? That I don't. Yeah, when I heard it was a
2S.
2004, I thought it was going to be like for the light 5-inch builds. But then you say it's for a 7-inch build. I don't.
Yeah, 2S 7-inch, and they've got like motor testing on the actual 2S. I mean, they're pretty dedicated. It seems like to this 2S 7-inch 3-blade build. It's so interesting to me because you'd expect to see bi-blades if you're going for an efficient build, but maybe there's some sweet spot they found here. They show it on this Avenger on this frame, and it seems like it's a super lightweight frame. It's definitely going for efficiency. So.
Okay, well, I have no idea what to make of this, but I'm super intrigued. Everybody's going to 6S, right? 6S 1300 kV 2806.5 motors. That's the 7-inch build that you want. And Brother Hobby's like, no, go the other way. So I have no idea, but yay, Brother Hobby.
Yeah, I'm interested to see people fly this and see if it's a thing. To me, it sounds like a bigger baby tooth, right? So you have the baby tooth is like a 3-inch 1S, and everybody's like, what? And so so now we're at 7-inch 2S. So
You're hurting me.
Maybe.
You're hurting me right now. A 7-inch baby tooth. Okay.
I don't. Yeah.
All right. Cool. I mean, maybe it's amazing. I don't. That's really something. It's really something. It's weird, but I'm intrigued. Well, Blunty, here's one more motor that I think we need to talk about a little bit before we move past motors. And as we head towards the end of the video, and as a reminder, the giveaway, we need to be thinking about what product we want to give away this month. This is the FPV Cycle. They're just calling it the big motor. At least that's what you're calling it. It is a 30 millimeter in size. Bob Ruge won't reveal the actual dimensions because he wants to make it harder for people to clone his motors. This is a 7-inch motor. Like I said earlier, 2806.5. That is the canonical size for 7-inch. But Bob is like, no, we're going to go to 30. What is going on with this motor?
Yeah, Bob has got a video on this one as well. He commonly does videos on a lot of these new designs. But I think his idea with this is similar to the heat distribution idea we talked about before, like efficiency. I think he's going up in size so you can run, kind of just like you'd fly before, but if you're flying with a larger motor that's dissipating heat a little better, maybe you're wasting a little less energy, as I understand it, is the idea. And he has actually, I think we've talked about before, he has like kind of like a beautiful mind chart that he has in a video. And he maps out where he thinks like the proper sizes of motors are based on how he's flown them. And so he seems to think this is right in the pocket for a 7 to 8-inch build. And again, like I think we've said this before, but if Bob's saying it, I do believe it's probably true.
Yeah, Bob knows motors. So if you're into 7-inch and 8-inch, I think it's definitely worth giving these a try, just on his reputation alone.
Something else to consider that also is that this size of motor, he stepped up, allows you to get to a 13 millimeter bearing, which I think is a lot of the benefit he claims to come out of this motor.
That's a huge bearing. We normally have 9 millimeter bearings. The larger the bearing, the more durable and smoother the motor will be. For example, the T-Motor, the iFlight Cyber Zing has 10 millimeter bearings for 5-inch props and is significantly smoother and more durable, although also heavier. Anyway, cool. Bob, keep it up, Bob. Okay, Blunty, let's go to frames. Do you want a frame that is pretty cool, or do you want a frame that is pretty bad?
Okay. I feel like this is a bait, but I have to know, what's the frame that's pretty bad?
Okay. What do you think of this?
I think the name is pretty self-explanatory.
Ouch. What is this? Okay, so first of all, what it's supposed to be like a basher racing frame, but like there are tons of 3-inch frames out there to choose from. What is the deal with this design? Why?
Yeah, they said originally it was supposed to be like a testing platform for their new stuff, but to me, I'm just not sure how that ended up coming out at $45, and it's
and Yeah. Thank you. And the price, $45.
I think just like, yeah, if we look at like a Source One or something, I just think we're not even in the right ballpark here.
Yeah, so TBS Source 1. Now, granted, Source 1 is not a 3-inch. Okay, but TBS Source 1, price $26. And it's a 5-inch. It's got way more carbon than this. Like, okay, you can't price frames just based on the carbon, though, Blunty. That's not fair. You also have to take into account the R&D that went into it. Oh.
Yeah, all the work for interlocking arms, right? All the work for location of different components. Yeah, I don't, unfortunately, I don't think any of that went into this. So.
Nuvie Drone. Nuvie Drone, I love you. You make great products. What are you thinking with this? How do you justify it? I'm not sure how you justify selling this at all. It's just a weird looking, weirdly designed frame, but selling it for $45 makes no freaking sense. I'm just going to assume this is a typo. Moving on. All right, let's do the one. Then let's do the one that is pretty cool. Yeah, this is the new Lumineer QAV S. Have you seen this?
Yeah, man, this seems really cool. It's got a special interlocking arm design that I've never seen before.
Let's see if I can find that somehow. Here we go. Here's an under. What? Yeah. So this is always a problem with interchangeable arms, is figuring out how they connect back together, and don't like slip or wiggle. So that's pretty cool. We can see the individual arms here. Looks like it's a single screw change. And I
think that was the goal, is to get it down to like the single screw change.
I just like this style of frame a lot. It seems like a good balance between complexity, weight, ease of build, and spaciousness. The tapered arms are really nice. That's going to add durability. What do you think the weight is? Do you know the weight?
I do not know the weight. If I had to guess, I would guess this is like 100, 110, 120 gram at least.
You think it's heavier than that?
I would think so, yeah. Because,
I've got good news. It is, I can't find it in the specs, but I actually know the number. It's 110 grams. Yeah, wait, 110.
That's not bad.
All up. Yeah. So, like, how would you compare this to something like an FPV Cycle Glide, which comes in closer to 100? Here, let's pull that up.
Also, a similar idea where you're tapering the arms. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does the Glide have boomerang arms, or is it individual arms? Can't remember. I think they're individual.
Oh, they're individuals.
Yeah. Oh, that's the Glide Hammer. That's the heavier one. So I think I'm really impressed with Lumineer with this one. The QAV-R felt to me like a much older frame. It was getting a little long in the tooth. And this one feels like there's even this, like, you can take this. What is this? Does this come off the front? Like, what's going on here? It's a pretty cool frame. How about this? This is the Nuvie Drone Mosquito. And I actually kind of have no idea what the point of this one is. Do you know?
Yeah, so the idea behind this is you take your 65 millimeter brushless, so like the B-Brain brushless or the Humminbird Pro, you would take that and take all your parts off the frame, you put it on this guy, and then you put 40 millimeter ASI props on it, and then rip it around.
So basically you're turning a Tiny Whoop into an open prop, kind of more powerful freestyler. Nice.
Yeah, getting a little more prop size, getting a little more authority on the quad, I'm sure, because getting a little better thrust to weight, because that's a big issue with these quads. So,
How do the motors hold up to those larger props? I mean, obviously it must work, or they wouldn't do it. But I mean, the 18,000, 2,000 kVs, 2,500, 25,000 kV even on some of these whoops, doesn't seem like there's a lot of room to make the props bigger.
Yeah, so Nuvie Drone sells their like fastest motor is the Plaid motor at 20,000 kV, as far as I know. So I think that's kind of the top end I would definitely run on this, but I still think it's reasonable.
Yeah, you know what this is perfect for? I just realized how many of us have a Tiny Whoop sitting around that for whatever reason we don't fly very much. Maybe you've got a newer one or a better one or something, or maybe so just buy this, swap it out, and now you've got a whole different flight experience. Pretty slick.
All right. We also have a couple frames here. One from Catalyst Machine Works, the Shocker HD Freestyle tank. Seems pretty cool. And then a similar design over on Cyclone FPV. They've got the Cyclone FPV Quattro Beast. These are both meant for HD. I think the Shocker's a 5-inch frame. The Quattro's a 4-inch frame. But yeah,
Yeah.
pretty cool little designs.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Quattro Beast here with the vertical air unit mounting. I've seen this before on the Shendron Squirt. I don't think I've ever seen it on a freestyle frame, though.
Yeah, it seems like an interesting design decision for sure. The one thing I'll say about Cyclone FPV, as far as I know, this guy puts a lot of work and testing into his products. He's like personally designing a lot of stuff, and then he personally cuts each of the frames to order. So definitely going to get some decent quality there, and he knows they fly pretty well. So seems like a cool design.
Yeah, I mean, I got to wonder about this placement of the air unit. You do have standoffs here.
Oh, interesting. There's no top plate on this quad. It's a
Yeah.
TPU top plate.
Yeah, so this is a weird one. Like, this is
Yeah.
really weird.
No, the air
TPU
unit
top
goes
plate.
through. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not looked at it like that.
How is the stiffness? You just got the stiffness of the bottom plate. You have no reinforcement from the standoffs on the top plate.
I assume
other
that's why you have all the cross bracing, right? Because if normal arms, definitely this, I wouldn't think this would work, but maybe all the cross bracing stops the resonance that you would get, you know?
I mean, maybe. At the end of the day, carbon is only so stiff, and it does make me wonder how much the sort of box, I don't know. The other thing I noticed is that looking at the back view, the MMCX is right next to that standoff. I got to wonder if the air unit ever gets jostled to the side and smacks that
Oh,
MMCX and breaks it off.
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. That's very interesting and different. But I feel like you're taking a little bit of a risk because there's so many unusual decisions made here. Either it's brilliant or one of those decisions is going to be surprisingly undesirable. Like, where's the plug? Look, here's the plug. How do you even... I mean, obviously it works, but it's... Oh, hang on. Can you get at the SD card? Like, I don't know. Very strange.
Yeah, interesting design decisions there for sure.
This is the Super G Plus. The Project 399 Super G has been a freestyle frame for a long time. This is a 7-inch Dead Cat version that I think they just came out with. At least Paul Nurkala just did a review of it, so I thought that was worth a mention. Any thoughts about this one before we move on?
Yeah, it just seems like a cool option for people who are looking for that Dead Cat 7-inch, and it seems like their frames have been super solid before. So if you like those or you thought they were solid, this seems like a great option.
They definitely bring them in at a lower weight than some other choices. There's a lot of cutouts here. Yeah. Okay. Super G Plus. Now I've never heard of this company before. When now the comments will fill up with people saying, "How could you not have heard of them? They're amazing. They've been around forever. You have no credibility." Anyway, this is the STP gun. It's available in both a DJI and a non-DJI version. Let's look at the analog version and see what's going on. The STP gun.
Yeah, it looks like pretty standard frame design to me. Standard standoff count and stuff like that. Looks like it's got mounting options for different size flight controllers and stuff. So pretty
It's
standard.
true. Apparently, there's just this one picture here on this listing. That's fine. I do notice a lot of, look at the angles here. Let's compare this to the QAVS, because I noticed the QAVS designed by, it's Ryan Harrell, Mini Quad Test Bench guy, who does the designs. He also does frame designs. And this is a very experienced frame designer working on this. You can just tell there's curves and relief cuts and just all kinds of, you could tell that this is not somebody's first time just going, I am designing in CAD now. And I'm not saying that's what's going on with the STP gun. I don't want to insult the designer, but when you look at these two, you can really see a difference in the, I want to say skill level. Maybe we should say design intent of the designer. Just look at the straight lines and angles versus nice curves and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that as well. Yeah, and it's hard to know with a designer that you don't know, right? And as you said, maybe some people do, but if the decisions are made because they understand the modeling, or if the decisions are made because it's cool to have a hole here, to make it lighter.
I feel like this looks like the person who designed this. I like these tabs here. Don't look like they look thin and bendy, and there's the fact that this is a sharp angle versus a curve is going to concentrate stress. I'm not sure. It seems like this is like somebody's. I'm not going to say it's their first frame they ever designed. It's better than that. It seems like it's like their third frame that they ever designed, as opposed to their 20th.
I would posit this is the V2.
Shut up. Yeah, I see. Where would you get that information? Fair enough. Star Power, I'm sorry we insulted your frame design. All right, Plenty, we're coming to the end. We're coming close to the end. We got 3 more bind and flies to mention, and we've got the Foxeer T-Rex camera. I want to talk about the T-Rex. This is a 1500 TV line camera, which people are saying has amazing resolution and stuff. Have you tried this camera?
I have not. Our standard cameras are 1200 TV lines, right? I think that's like the
That's
standard.
pretty standard.
This seems like a cool option for people. I know I saw Paweł Spakowski do a review of this, and he seemed pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, I mean, a good camera is a good camera. The fact that it has more TV lines doesn't tell me much, because at the end of the day, it's an analog device. And so the actual resolution that gets through to your screen is going to be affected by the video transmitter, by the screen, and so forth. I'm not convinced that simply having a higher resolution sensor is going to give you better results, but some people who are flying it are saying that they can see more details and better resolution. So maybe there's something to it. I would like to try this one out, actually. That brings us to the end of the video, where we decide what we're going to give away this month. And we've talked about so many products, Plenty. I always like the giveaway to be significant. I don't want to give away like one flight controller. I don't know. What jumps out to you this month?
I'm thinking actually the Newbie Drone Savage Bee now is the bind and fly. I think that's a pretty good option, man. I'm really impressed at Newbie Drone for doing that, and I think it'd be cool to give some of those away.
I like it. Yeah, no, that's good. And maybe Newbie Drone won't be mad at me for the fact that they sent me one of these to review like a month and a half ago, and I still haven't gotten to it. Okay. So we're going to give away the Newbie Drone Savage Bee Bind and Fly. It's available with FreeSky, Crossfire receiver, or a plug and play. You can install your own receiver. It's your choice. And it's also available. Do you remember when I said that one of these quads was a 2S? I think it was the Emax Nano. And you were like, it's
Yes.
not a 2S? I was thinking of this one. This one's available as 1S or 2S, your pick. So how many of them should we give away? It's 150, 140 bucks. We'll give away. Let's do 4 of them. So there'll be 4 winners. Each person will get one of these. To enter, don't leave a comment. Down in the video description, there is a link to a Google form. You click on that link, you go to the Google form, and you put your name and your email address in, and that is how you enter. There's the only way to enter. Down in the description will be the terms and conditions for the giveaway, which will include the cutoff date for entries. It's usually about 3 or 4 days from whenever this video comes out. Last month I made the mistake of putting the date in the video, and then the video was delayed and everyone got confused, so I'm not going to make that mistake again. Cool. Think that's going to do it, though. Thank you, Plenty. This was a long one. I don't know what it'll edit down to, but we've been working on this for like 3 hours, so I really appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to do it. I enjoy looking over these new products and stuff, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you brought a ton of them too. Usually I have some stuff in mind, but you actually brought a ton of products, so it was great. It was really appreciated. I will see you back here in the new year, in January, when we'll do another new product roundup and giveaway, and I'll see you here as well. So, see you later, Plenty. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks a lot, man.
Happy flying, you guys. What are you still doing here? The video's over. Do you watch all the videos all the way to the end? Wow. You are a super fan. Thank you. That actually helps the channel a lot when you watch the videos all the way to the end. YouTube loves that. You know what else YouTube loves? When you subscribe. Or when you join my Patreon for as little as $2 a month, or more if you feel like I've earned. Actually, YouTube doesn't like you to join my Patreon. They don't get a cut of that.